Take a good look at this cow. Well built and definitely a high producer. A lot of dairy farmers blame low production on their kind of breeds. But is that really the case?
My name is Halber Kleinstra and I am from the Netherlands. I am an experienced dairy farmer. Many farmers here, they want to invest in very expensive straws. But when I see the cows here, most cows are big enough, well developed and in good shape. The biggest problem is the lack of good food, or that they do not graze in the right way, or that they feed them a lot of very poor hay. If you can transfer that into the hay into very good grass silage, and you can also improve your grass management, then I think those cows will be able to give much more milk. The breed maybe is only 20% of the result. 80% it is feeding. And that is a question of management. The farmer can change that and has nothing to do with the breed.
Yes, right feeding is what makes a dairy cow a high producer. Our visit to Baraka Farm, practical dairy training centers, taught us that feeding is fundamental from the moment of birth.
Welcome to Practical Dairy Training Center in Eldoret. My name is Jos Krimas. I'm the farm manager at the Baraka Farm. The training center is using the facilities of the Baraka Farm that belongs to Levi Children's Home. We have been in operations for more than 21 years here now, and we have established a large-scale farm with also possibilities and a separate unit for that can demonstrate a smallholder farm in operation.
We joined a group of farmers from El Gueyo Marquet as they tour the training center and discover how good calf rearing practices eventually delivers a quality cow.
Once the calf is born, we always make sure that we are present, and in case necessary, which is only in less than 2% of the cows, we try to assist if it is difficult for the calf to come out. But the first 3 days we feed that calf with colostrum. That is the first milk that the cow gives after she has given birth. So for 3 days we make sure, and the first time we feed the calf, that is within 1 hour after it has given birth, we make sure it gets colostrum. For 3 days we feed it with colostrum only, and then the female calves, they arrive here and we house them in this unit.
Feeding with colostrum ensures that the calf strengthens its immune system. As hours grow into days, days into weeks, the calf needs to be given plenty of clean water.
Immediately after 3 days they receive fresh water. Every day we give them fresh water. We make sure that the water is of good quality. You do that also by smelling it. Yeah? And the water should always be smelling in a way that you would be also able to drink it yourself. Yeah? So that is a very easy way of controlling whether the water is fresh. And even if the calf didn't drink a lot, we always try to pour the water of yesterday and put fresh water so that it will stimulate the calf to start drinking. Over here, this unit we can use to feed the calf with milk. So every day the calf is still receiving fresh milk, and because we are working with a lot of people, it is very important that we keep records and we tell everybody knows which calf this is. So here we record the number. In this case it is number 21, and the day that she was born was on the 4th of June 2014, and she is now 3 weeks old, and she receives 3 liters of milk in the morning and 3 liters of milk in the afternoon.
Since the cow is not left with the calf to suckle, an improvised weight is employed to ensure the calf suckles as if it were from the mother.
And we attach the nipple over here, and then the calf can drink. Attaching the nipple we do through this system,
put the nipple through here and we attach it by screwing it over here, and then the calf can drink. Because the colostrum contains what we call antibodies. Yeah, that is, antibodies is give the calf the first protection against diseases. Because the calf is born without any resistance against diseases. So we have to build up that resistance against diseases as fast as possible. The calf has been living in a very well protected environment inside the cow, but now she's out and there are all sorts of dangers. And those dangers are bacteria, viruses, yeah, funguses, and all these little animals that we cannot see, but they are there. And especially in the environment where the calf lives, it is of course more dirty than the way we human beings live, so they need that protection. And that information that is stored in the globulins in the colostrum, it helps the body of the calf to reproduce the same information in its blood system. And when it has that information in its blood system, it is now becomes more stronger and more in a position to defend itself against diseases that would like to weaken it. Yeah, so that is very important.
Past 3 weeks, dairy meal is introduced to the calf, giving it in small portions to avoid wastage. Throughout this time, the calf is kept in a well-constructed cage that allows movement. The housing is also fitted with structures that food and water can be kept on.
We have indicated for everybody to see how they should feed the milk. From 4 liters in the first week up to 6 liters in the 4th week, and at the end of the 3 months period, which is about 12 weeks, now the amount of milk will be 0 again. So now, for the calf to continue and get used to different feeds, we have to introduce a little bit of what we call weaner pellets or dairy milk. And already we have introduced a little bit of what we call dairy meal, and we give it to the calves. So we give it a little bit to make sure that it will not waste the dairy meal, but it will utilize everything. And as we see every day that the calf can finish all the food that we are giving, we increase it. Yeah? And now the calf is what we call a ruminant. It has 4 stomachs, not 1 like human beings. So besides this dairy meal that is very well digestible, can be made into food for its own purpose, we have to give it some forage or roughage, we call it. And this is, in this case, it is hay. And we make sure that the hay we are feeding is of very good quality. Yeah, its origin should be very leafy grass, not too stemmy, because it will hurt the nose of the calf, and there should also not be fungus in it. So again, when you smell it, it should be a nice smell, and you should not start coughing or sneezing, which is normally an indication that there's a lot of dust in it.
In the 8th week, the calf is introduced to silage mixed with the dairy meal to help them familiarize and continuously feed.
In the next step, we also start giving the calf what we call silage, and in this case we mix the silage with dairy milk. The calf stays here, they don't go outside, so they stay here for 24 hours. So basically they have plenty of time to take in the food. It doesn't have to be finished within an hour. They have until tomorrow morning to finish all this food. And whatever, if there's a little bit left again, we don't leave it there, we change it and we put fresh food for the calves. Again, water remains available at all times. You can see also here is water. Produce it at around 4 to 5 weeks. Yeah, 4 to 5 weeks. This calf is 8 weeks old. Yeah, and we start introducing the solid foods. You can introduce it as early as you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't harm the calf. But normally in the first 2 weeks, when the milk is still a lot, she will not touch it. She will only play with it. So it is always good to introduce a little bit, because as she plays with it, she learns how to eat it. And that's our idea, because they are different foods, and we have to teach them how to eat it. When the calf stays with the mother, of course she sees the mother eating the grass, so she starts copying that. But here we have to give it time, because she's not seeing the mother, so we have to give it time to learn, to get to know the different foods, and to start eating them. That's why we start with a little bit, not to waste it, but just to teach the calf to start eating a different.
Most small-scale farmers will keep their calves grazing with other animals and basically outdoors. This can be dangerous since you cannot monitor what they eat or when they fall sick.
That they are kept indoors is because we want to control what they are eating, and we want to know for sure that the food we give them is going to be finished. And it's much more easy to monitor that when they are kept indoors and when they are moving around. Yeah, because if they are moving around, if they, for example, have diarrhea, you are not able to see it. Yeah, or if they are coughing, for example, if they may be coughing on the other side of the farm in the pasture, and when you approach them, they don't. So it's easier to monitor the feed intake, we call it. It's also easier to monitor their health. So that's the reason why we keep them inside.
The growth of the calf is tremendously noticeable. Their feed does not change, only increases in amount. And also, their immune system is stronger and thus can begin to be housed in a group of 4.
When they are there, they are being housed in a system where you can have 4 or 5 calves together, like over here. The feed does not change. The feed remains the same. The cow is now able to eat this dairy meal or weaner pellets if they wish. But in our case we make our own dairy meal, as I explained. And she is now going to eat about 2 to 3 kilos of this dairy meal every day. Yeah? And the feed is now hay. This is the hay she was eating there. And we mix it with maize silage. Yeah? So we don't change the feed. When we do something with the small cows, we make sure we only change one thing. So we have removed and we have changed the housing type. That gives a little bit of stress. The calf will be a little bit upset because it's a different environment. So we make sure that everything else she recognizes. Then we bring water. Once she has finished the feed, we'll bring the water, and 2 to 3 times a day we make sure we water the calf to have enough water. When there are others now have become the same size, we'll add them to become a similar group. Here we have a group with 4 animals, and you see the food now remains the same. It is this dairy milk, now enough for them to all consume enough, and that is still about 3 kilos of the milk for each and every calf. So in total they will get 12 kilos. Yeah? And because the food is always available 24 hours per day, they all get enough. It is not that one will be eating much more than the other. And we control that by measuring the calves every month. So we come with a piece of rope or a measuring tape, and we measure the calf behind the front legs. Yeah? And then I know how big they are there, and I can translate that in how many kilos the calf is. So should the situation arise that one is eating more than the other, then I separate that group. I make it different so that they all remain the same size. Yeah? And on the blackboard over there, you could have seen that our aim when we are feeding our calves is that from the birth weight of about 37 kilos, we try to bring them to a live weight of 560 kilos at 24 months of age.
The right weight that results from correct feeding translates into high milk production.
So after they give birth at 24 months of age, we try for them to have a weight of around 560 to 540 kilos of live weight. And from there, they will still grow further in the next 2 years to become adult cows with a live weight of at least 600 kilos. And those cows that have an adult weight of 600 kilos, they are able to produce a big amount of milk, like 20 liters, 25 liters, even up to 40 liters or more at the peak of their lactation period. Smaller cows, they normally cannot produce that amount of milk because they cannot eat enough and thus transform the nutrients from the food into milk because they are too small. So we aim at a cow of about, with this breed, which is, we call them Holstein Friesian cows. With this breed, we aim at a live weight of 600 kilos. Were you to keep Jersey cows, for example, your live weight for an adult animal would probably be between 400 and 450 kilos. But it's a different type of animal, and here on this farm we are only talking about Holstein Friesian animals.
Crossbreeding can be implemented to strengthen the genes of the cows. For instance, a cross of Boran and Holstein Friesian will produce a physically strong cow